I call this meeting of the Northwest Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, all of us, that this meeting has been duly called and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 5551. And now we will move into closed session. Thank you, Mr. Sluter. Okay, item 3, public meeting to discuss budget and proposed tax rate. Dr. Warren?
Board, this is mandated by the Texas Education Agency and the Texas Government Code that we hold a public hearing on the proposed tax rate. And so, Mr. Grasswitch, please.
Very nice for the heavy steps over here. Thank you. The budget, of course, was adopted on June the 25th, and the purpose of tonight, of course, is to pass the tax rate to fund the budget that was adopted on the 25th of June. The tax rate is set at $1.04 for maintenance and operations, M&O, and 45 cents for the interest and sinking rate, the total of $1.49, and this is the same as was adopted in the previous year. The notice was published in the Denton Record Chronicle, and the website was updated with a required posting as well. This, of course, is a public hearing and open to the public. Be happy to answer any questions before.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone in the audience? Okay.
And that you can
then
close
that will conclude our public meeting. And now we will reconvene with our regular meeting. Dr. Moore?
All right. If everyone please stand. Folks, we love that you're here. Thank you. I hope everybody had a great first day. We truly did. It was just a wonderful day. So, if you feel comfortable doing so, please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. And Lord, thank you for such a great first day of school. It's our honor to get our kids back and just to see everyone working so hard today. We just thank you for your blessings on that. Lord, be with our board members tonight. Give us all your blessings, Lord. Be with everyone here and see us safely home. And Lord, above all things, just give your love, your guidance, your wisdom, and your protection to our children. It's your name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, we have two very special guests, and we're going to especially for Carson, we're going to get we're going to get him home just as soon as we can to get him in bed because we had a long day. So Sammy, wave at everybody. Folks, this is Sammy Kazin and Sam. Her mom and dad, Sam and Robin, are in the room. Sam, Robin, thank you for being here. Sammy, is a third grader at Schluter Elementary School. Her favorite subject is math because she likes solving equations and working with her friends. Good job, Sammy. She likes to do art because it's fun and you can be creative. And this is what Mrs. Howell said about Sammy. I selected Sammy because she is one of the hardest working students I know. She always tries to do her best. She is a friend to everyone and always makes sure everyone has someone to play with at recess. Sammy, very good job. And then we have Carson.
Hi.
Carson is a new kindergartner with us at Schluter Elementary School. His favorite subject is art because it's fun to color. He likes to play with dinosaurs because he wants to be a paleontologist. Carson, right? Thumbs up. Good job, Carson. All right. Mrs. Howell says, I nominated Carson because for the last 3 years he has been preparing to come to Schluter. He's always attends Read to Your Bunny, evening events, learning who all the teachers are, and he will share his pre-K success with the Schluter staff. So, Sammy, Carson, there's the American flag. We're going to do the American and then the Texas. So lead us out, Sammy. Ready? I pledge
allegiance to the America and for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
All right, and Texas?
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Very good. Now, we got some presents for you. Just stay right there. Rob. Robin, Sam, you got no personalities up there. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, item 7, recognitions. Dr. Warren?
Yes. Hello. Yes, if you and President Kopp can come join us at the front. We will start off with recognizing our multimedia specialist, Rachel Bobbitt, if she could come to the front. Rachel's being recognized tonight by the National School Public Relations Association for 2 videos that she produced featuring the Northwest ISD Education Foundation. Each year, NSPRA recognizes exemplary work in all aspects of school public relations, communication, marketing, and engagement. Rachel is among a select few in the nation to achieve these awards. Okay, next, the National Parent Teacher Association has named 6 Northwest ISD schools to its list of 2018 through 2020 Schools of Excellence in the United States for the work of their school community associations. These campuses are among just 55 Texas schools on the list and are recognized for their leadership in cultivating rich school-based relationships between parents, teachers, and students. So as I call your campus, just come to the front and we'll take a picture. So we'll start with Beck Elementary School. We have Sandy Conklin, Ann Sands, and Becky Hall here. From Justin Elementary School, we have Lisa Ronslaven, Jen Washam, Amy Donahoe, and Megan Walker. Okay. From Love Elementary School, we have Lisa Crossland, Kylie Ora, Susan McNeil, and Angela Newby. From Schluter Elementary School, we have Amy Howell, Jackie Middleton, Crystal Jern, Jackie Eubanks, Jennifer Robinson, Beth Dickerson, Amber Christomedes, and Claudia Bangringa. I hope I said that right, sorry. Cynthia Billigren and Rebecca James. And from Byron Nelson High School, we have Ron Myers. Is there anyone else here? Oh, all right. What?
Yes, we have our past president, Karen Williams.
Awesome. Awesome. And then from Northwest High School, we have Carrie Jackson, Ryan Barnhart, Kelly Gregorski, and Michelle Smith. Okay, and our last recognition, I don't think our reporter is here, so she's out covering great news, so we'll recognize her next time. So that is all. Oh, did she just walk in? Oh, you're here. Yay. Okay, good. We didn't see you. Okay. I'm sorry. All right. Just kidding. So this evening we are recognizing Sarah Brennan from 76262 Magazine. She is being named to the 2018 Texas Association of School Boards Media Honor Roll. Thank you for being here. She is among 300 media representatives in the state honored by local school districts for her fair and accurate approach to sharing the many successes achieved by our students and teachers. So thank you very much.
And yes, everyone would love you to stay, but if you would like to keep yourself, we completely understand.
Thank you all for a great first day, all of you that are leaving. Okay, item 8, public participation, and there are none. Item 9, consent agenda.
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Sluter, second by Mr. Wright. All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay. Item 10, discussion action items. A, 2018-19 Superintendent's Performance Objectives. Dr. Warren?
Board, we've been working on these for at least a month and a half. I introduced these to you officially last board meeting, and of course we just had a great discussion during a closed session. Let me read so everybody will know the recommendation from the administration for the performance goals for this year. It's on page 73 in your packet. Number 1, pre-K through 12th grade literacy. That we will make sure to place an increased emphasis on literacy across all grade levels. Mastery, number 2, mastery level performance on all STAR and in-course assessments. That we would fill our kids to drive them to the very top of that assessment tool. Number 3, college and career and life readiness. College and career has always been a goal, readiness has been a goal, and from the committee that worked so hard for our strategic framework, we've added life readiness, so that's going to be a great addition to the services we provide to our students. Number 4, PBMAS emphasis. These are our most fragile learners, our groups of kids who are our special education kids, our low socioeconomic kids, our kids who are still learning the English language, placing an emphasis on them. And then the next will be student, staff, and stakeholder safety. A huge push of the district is to assure safety on our campuses, on our district property. And then the last, the research project that we've discussed for about the last year, the tax ratification election, looking at the needs of our district and the limitations of our local budget and our revenue stream. And so being able to have a really good discussion as a team of 8 and coming to a final decision on if that is in our future or not. So, Mrs. Kopp, I would recommend approval of the 6 2018-2019 Superintendent's Performance Objectives.
Okay. We've discussed these several times, so we have any other discussion before we vote or have a motion? Question?
As far as, because we have the two options. One with the revision, the 90%, would that be a revision, or since it wasn't?
It will the actual criteria you will set for me. I will post that. It's not a revision. I mean, that was always the expectation. And what Dr. Roush is talking about is for the literacy component, we want all students, the 90% of our students will be reading on grade level, and that's a very good. So I don't think it's a revision. It's just I will state it when we publish these. I will make sure to list all of the grading criteria.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
Madam President, I motion that we approve the 2018-2019 Superintendent Performance Objectives.
I have a motion by Dr. Roush, a second by Mr. Sproles. All those in favor? Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay. B, resolution for the Northwest ISD levying the tax rate for the Northwest ISD for the tax year 2018 and providing for an effective date.
Board, the information on this is on page 84 in your packet. We are recommending a maintenance and operation rate be set at $1.04 per $100 valuation, and an interest and sinking rate be set at 45 cents per $100 valuation. This is the same rate that we recommended for last year. I recommend approval of our 18-19 tax rate.
Madam President, move to levy and adopt a tax rate on a $100 valuation for property located within the Northwest ISD for the tax year 2018 as follows: $1.04000 for the purpose of maintenance and operations.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Wright and a second by Mr. Hastings. All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, item C, Byron Nelson High School.
And we need
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, there's a second one. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
It's
We just
part
need the interest and
two.
sinking.
Tim's report would suddenly sort of fade away.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay.
Madam President,
Mr. Sluter?
I move to levy and adopt the tax rate on $100 valuation for property located within the Northwest ISD for the tax year 2018 as follows: $0.4500 for the payment of principal interest on the debt of the district.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Sluter, a second by Mr. Wright. All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, now on to Byron Nelson High School addition GMP Phase 1. Dr. Warren?
And Board, from our 2017 bond initiative, it's time to start some work at Byron Nelson, and Mr. McClure will take you through Phase 1, and the recommendation will be to approve the project.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Warren, and Board. You have the items there tonight that's been prepared for you for the Phase 1 of the GMP. This is the field house work. Phase 2 will be the portions of the work doing the addition to the actual proper main building, the academic wing of the building. We're bringing to you tonight just under $15.5 million is well within the budget that was established in the bond. The total project budget for the bond is roughly around $46 million. So we expect to bring the rest of that to you later this year as they're working through Phase 2. You have representatives with Glenn Partners here tonight, as well as North Star Builders, who are both on the project for us.
Mr. McClure, will a gentleman by the name of Bruce Helm have anything to do with this project?
Yes, Mr. Helm is in the audience, and
oh, he is.
Happy to let him take the mic if you'd like for him to.
No, I do not want to listen to Bruce. But I'm looking very much forward to seeing what he does for us.
Yes.
Upon approval.
Happy to answer any questions, or certainly the team can address anything that you have any questions about as well.
Any questions?
Board, I would recommend approval.
Madam President,
Mr. Sproles?
I move to approve the guaranteed maximum price for Byron Nelson High School addition Phase 1 in the amount of $15,450,000 $463,043.00 as recommended by the administration.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Sproles, a second by Mr. Hastings. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay. Resolution of Northwest ISD approving and ratifying the district's entering into a contract to purchase land in Denton County, Texas from Jerry Lee Wilson and William Scott Wilson.
Board, this is the purchase we've discussed several times. This is, of course, lovingly known as the One Horse Farm. We are recommending the purchase of this for $885,000. I would recommend approval of the purchase.
Does the horse come with it?
Was that in the negotiation, Mr. McClure?
No, unfortunately the horse is not, and actually there's two there right now, but I don't think we're getting either one of them, unfortunately.
Madam President,
Mr. Schluter.
In that case, I move to approve the resolution of the Northwest ISD approving and ratifying the district's entering into a contract to purchase land in Denton County, Texas from Jerry Lee Wilson and William Scott Wilson as recommended by the administration.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Schluter, a second by Mr. Sproles. All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Okay. And now we have a discussion of the 2018-19 District Improvement Plan. Dr. Warren.
Board, if you will, I believe you have the recommended plan by your place, and it'll also be on your monitor. Board, let me first say, truly love the effort in putting this together, this recommendation together. You have, this is not an action item. This is a introduction for you, and then of course you have until the meeting on the 10th to look it over and to really get into it. But from Angela Scott, Angela has done an amazing job, kind of being the lead on this, and then the department heads, our executive directors, and most definitely the cabinet members have done an amazing job going through there and really getting into the needs of our district. We're working very hard, and we put an extra emphasis on our planning processes this school year, from our department action plans to our campus improvement plans, and now to the district improvement plan. So if you go through there with me, of course, on page 2 of 41, Angela, the very first page of our new information that came from our strategic framework, of which all of this is based. So there's your new strategic framework. You get into the comprehensive needs assessment, page 4 of 41, the needs assessment that we have gone through, and this has been a project that we've worked several months on. And then you get into the demographics. The next few pages are demographics. And if you really, when you really start reading this, the thing that I really do like that each department, each of our planners really got into was just truly finding what the true problem of practice was, the root causes of these issues, and to really beginning kind of deep into how we're going to achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves for the school year. So, from page 8 and 9, there's a lot of data for you to look over, and a lot of these things you've already seen from the DRA, our advanced academics from the performance goals from last school year. So when you get down, Angela, to the narrative on the district progress and programs, it gives you a summation of the things that we looked at, starting on page 13, the district processes, financial services, human resources, safety, security, outsourced services, all those things that we feel are important that truly get to our problem statements of the things that we're going to set these goals for. So when you get down past on the number 18, it gives you a full list of the assessments that we use through all the things that we do in all those areas that we've written those problems of practice and the root causes for those things, looking how we assess. And you looked at a lot of this information for my performance objectives. So page 21 actually starts the improvement plans, and it'll take you through different goals. It'll take you through the performance objectives. It'll take you through how we're going to evaluate and the actual strategies in which we'll do that. So you've got 41 pages of your district improvement plan that we're going to put in place upon your approval that will drive, and really the most important thing is how we support our campus level educators, how we support the programs. So you will see all that information on the next several pages, and then Angela leads a great process throughout the school year. We actually get into this document multiple times during the school year to gauge progress on how we're doing throughout the school year to make sure that we're on the right track, and if we are not, so that we can have conversations on how do we redirect and achieve the goals at the end of the year to be able to do that. So you have your goals. You have that are stated. You have your performance objectives, your evaluation data, the summative evaluations, TEA priorities, and your actual strategies to do that. Who will be monitoring that progress and what the expected outcomes are. So the next several pages, you can walk all the way through. Team on page. If you look on page 40. This is our catch-all. The Texas Education Agency through the legislature, or the legislature through the agency, actually mandates several different things that we have in all of our programs, but they actually mandate that we list those kind of things. So they're making sure that we have everything in that is legally mandated. So Angela has done a good job to make sure that she has listed all those things, and we know where what program is essential for which of those plans and which of those strategies are needed for completion that are actually mandated by the state. So we have that. And then you have the actual backup documents, the policies, both legal and local backup policies for all that. One of the examples is bullying. We're not going to tolerate bullying in our schools, and how we do that. And we have a very precise system, not only how to fight against bullying, but how to deal with it when it does happen, and what happens on campus. So I'm very pleased with the outcome. So I don't know if you'll have any questions right now. I'm thinking that most of your questions will be next board meeting once you get a chance to really dig down into these. If you have, Judy and I were speaking before the meeting began, as you have questions, if you have suggestions as we go through here over the next couple of weeks, if you will email me that specifically, and whatever the question is on, I will get that to the appropriate administrator who is in charge of that performance objective and that district goal. And number one, and if y'all don't mind if I do this, just making sure that I make everybody aware of those, and then we can list them out in the open meeting next session, so make sure that we have all the questions and suggestions in front of everyone as we go line item by line item after you've had a chance to really look at that. This is now truly complete now that you've approved my performance objectives, now that we're not really going to adjust it anymore until we have the discussion with you to see what improvements need to be made. So any questions right now, just as you had the introduction?
I just have a quick one. Next board meeting, we will still be discussing. We will not be voting.
Next board meeting, we need you to approve. Okay. Right. So that's why we need, if we have any questions or suggestions, to start sending those to me, and we'll start kind of doing having discussions within cabinet about those questions that you have. So make sure I have good answers for you.
Does the board have any questions right now? Anybody? Okay. All right, moving on to reports. Thank you, Angela. We're starting out, let's see, July financial and investment report. Dr. Warren?
Mr. Graswich, why did you even come back over here? Oh, getting your steps in? Mr. Graswich, tell us the good news.
They took down the little white steps. I was trying to do that stair step thing, but at any rate, in July we had two investments mature, one in the general fund for $15 million, one in the interest and sinking debt service fund for $20 million. And we let those mature because we draw down our cash balances at that time. We had $235 million invested, just under 2%. Interest rates are continuing to tick upwards. They were spread around between treasuries, local government investment pools, bank deposits, and diversified amongst users. Everything is collateralized, so we stay within board policy. We have our maturities scheduled out. As of July, we were a little heavy in overnights. We had 57%, but in August, we spread that out and bought securities. So you'll see a better spread in the next report in terms of our securities. Some interesting discussions on the marketplace as to whether or not the Federal Reserve is going to do 2 bumps or 1 bump or whatever. It's kind of interesting. The spread between 0 or 3 months treasuries and 30-year treasuries is under 1% now, which is interesting because if they do 2 more interest increases, it'll probably be pretty close to flat. And the concern, quite frankly, is that everything in history and economics and the Fed's own research staff say that if the yield curve was to invert, in other words, short-term rates were higher than long-term rates, that's usually a forecaster of a recession, so we definitely don't want to see that. So we're watching that pretty closely. The district has earned $500,000 in our investments for July, and of course that would be the same for year to date. Financial reports are attached. Be happy to answer any questions about any of that. Other than that, it's just a standard report.
Board, any questions? Thank you, John. Okay, our next report is Facilities Monthly Report. Dr. Warren.
Mr. McClure.
Good evening, Board. It's been a very, very, very busy summer for us, especially on the construction side. So Jim hadn't been doing anything, so I think he was going to come give the report tonight, right? Jim's been busy too. Maintenance has been very busy. We're happy to present to you tonight, just kind of give you an update of where things stand. If I get the right clicker, there we go. Okay, so currently right now, the planning projects that are underway, the natatorium, we are still in the early phases of that. We've been walking through a few schematics. We hope to have some images to bring to you next month, as well as some, I guess, a little bit more description about that project and how it's proceeding. But we do feel like we're projected to bid that sometime in January, bring it to you in January for board approval and start that construction on our schedule that we have it, to open in 2020. Of course, Byron Nelson, we appreciate you approving the GMP for Phase 1 tonight, and that construction will start here in a couple of weeks. I believe already mobilized or almost mobilized. They're putting some fencing up for us to prepare those students so they knew where not to park. So that's moving on. We'll get started in that in September, and they'll be well on their way as we go throughout the school year. Sendera Ranch and Thompson Elementary Schools addition renovations, those we're currently in design with Perkins and Will on those projects to do additions to those two to bring those up from the 650 capacity to the 850 student capacity, where we kind of continue that model that we started several years ago. And we look to bring that to you with the GMP in November, to start construction in November. So those will be getting underway middle of the year and then be finished during the summers to open at their 850 capacities that start a school year next year for both Thompson and Sendera Ranch. As far as summer projects that are completed, excuse me, Hatfield, Prairie View, the partial HVAC and roof replacement. We had partial HVAC and roof replacement in both those. Both those projects are completed. Hughes additions and renovations. That was the 650 model that was increased to 850 for Hughes. It is completed. We'll have some slides on that here in a minute. Leo Adams is completed, and Curtis Elementary School, not quite completed, but the portion of the building that needs to be completed is completed, so the kids can open. We have the kitchen and the 12 classrooms that are the two wings that were shut off from the rest of the school, that they'll be doing the work on that. Kitchen ran a little bit long. We've been working diligently with Aramark, and they are providing warm meals and breakfast options there in the cafeteria. That's free of charge for these first couple weeks, and the contractor is diligently getting the kitchen in order so we can open that up and have a full service menu there. The other summer projects, the Ag Barn and renovations and addition, also under construction still right now. Safety and security upgrades. We finished all the doors that go from, keep people from going back into the administrative suite. We have a few hardware sets that they'll be finishing up this week, but for the most part, all those doors are in, the walls are in, painted, and everything's ready to go on those. Of course, last board meeting, you approved the upgrade for the, what I'll call the doorbell buzzers. That will start those. We meet with the contractor later this week to start that schedule, and that will take place at every campus. So as we hit a campus, that will be put in place. If you approach that campus, you'll have to buzz in. They'll see you, be able to have communication and visual contact through that camera with you at the door before releasing that door to allow you to come into the reception area, where then you will also be vetted and given your name badge before proceeding any further. So kind of a two-step process that will be in place throughout this school year as we get those up and running. Lance Thompson Elementary School, got some pictures on that to show you too. The concrete piers are in, so that's going well, and we're starting the grade beams for that campus up in Northlake. So real quick, we'll run through these. Hues, of course, the areas in orange. Excuse me. Areas in orange are the areas that were the additions that were added to the building. Here's some interior shots. There's a hallway also at Hughes. We were due to replace the flooring. Proud of this. This is a new flooring we're going with. It's a non-wax flooring. It's made by the same people that make our normal flooring that you see everywhere, the BCT. It's an Armstrong product. But this allows us to not have to wax our floors. It has a great little sheen to it. It holds up. It's very durable, and takes some money off the M&O budget to maintain those floors annually with waxing and stripping and all that goes into them. So you'll start to see those floors throughout the campus. There's the expanded cafeteria. There's the outdoor courtyard. We enclosed one of the courtyards on the end of the building when we added the wing at the end. Some of the new interior classroom spaces that match the existing spaces that are there, with the flex space in the back that connects the two classroom wings. Just another shot of the new display board. The district standard as we're moving through this bond is to upgrade to the monitor above the whiteboard to give those teachers that ability to have the digital format right there for all the students to interact with. Moving on to Adams. Of course, Adams opened today. We were there. It was very exciting. Traffic was great around the building. It might have not been so great out on 287, but certainly around the building, things were moving at a very efficient pace. I don't recall. I know Joel Johnson was there with me this morning. We never really had a big stack up out on Eagle. It'd get 3 or 4 cars deep, and then we'd release 15 cars that just let kids out, and they'd all come in. I think the real problem and stacking up was out on 287. I'm sure we will continue our talks with TxDOT and City of Fort Worth and the county on helping that situation. But nonetheless, Adams open, great looking school. Students were exciting. They had cheerleaders there, welcoming them all in. This is some pictures from a few weeks ago. Some of the staff preparing for the arrival of the students in the library. Here you can see this, the 8th grade wing. They kind of labeled each wing some different character traits. So this one's leadership, going back into the 8th grade wing, and you can see the very similar aspect to Eaton with the collaboration spaces, aligning the corridors there with the furniture and the classrooms in between them. Shot of the restrooms. That's real exciting, but just lets you see everything. Cafeteria there with the stage in the background there. The actual serving line is basically behind this picture. There's a courtyard just outside that sits between the library and the cafeteria space. And then moving on to Curtis. Of course, Curtis was one of our biggest challenges in getting prepared. I'm going to walk you through some of those challenges as we move forward. So here we are, August 13th. So, if you do the math, that's 24 days ago, right? Not quite 3 weeks ago. So this is the front entry area. If we fast forward 10 days to the 23rd, this was the night that I believe Dr. Warren walked after the Meet the Eagles and I wasn't sure if he was going to make it to work the next day. But he was a little stressed, but we were working hard, and so there was a 23rd, but 2 days later, here's what that space looks like. So a lot of hard work and effort went into this. We had guys from our team, our maintenance guys came out and helped. Sarah and her team did a great job with the construction. Again, August 6th, this is what the classroom spaces, a lot of the classroom spaces were looking like. And again, on the 25th, there's one, and then there's another one that they had prepared the classes. The staff has been great. They've just been all smiles and happy to welcome on the kids. There's the hallway with the bulletin boards being prepared. So the school really came together at the end. Here's, again, a picture around the 6th of August. This is the gym. And then there's the gym today. You see a wall, a temporary wall in the background there on the right side of the picture. That's because there's still work to be done on the stage. So we put up the partition there to keep that work and keep those kids safe. So that wall will be coming down in a few weeks too, and they'll get full access to the stage. So that's why you see that in the background there. Again, the reception area about 3 weeks ago, and then the reception area on the 25th. And then there's a shot of the cafeteria. Again, the overhead cooling doors are down while the contractors are finishing tying in all the kitchen equipment and getting those health inspections. And as soon as we get that, they know that is the top priority. They're working very diligently to get that cafeteria open so we have the full menu options for the kids. And so that's it. There's the front of the school as we left it on Saturday morning, or actually I guess Saturday afternoon after the Meet the Teacher event, which was very exciting. I think we had almost every student and parent show up. It was just masses coming from all over the neighborhood, but never had a single negative comment leaving the building. Everybody was just very impressed at how far it had come and how quickly we got there and how well it looked today. Still a lot to do. Still some landscaping. We've got to finish those 2 wings. Still a lot of work going on, but their contractors has got that schedule in hand and moving quickly through it. The Ag Barn, this is the foundations being poured for the new Ag Barn facility. There's the existing facility in which we've started to do the building wrap, kind of close in that facility. So those projects are going very smoothly right now. And then on to Lance Thompson Elementary School. Of course, there's kind of how it sits on the site. We're very early in that job. As you remember, I know several of you were able to attend the groundbreaking with us, but there's just right after the groundbreaking ceremony, you can see all the dirt movers out there moving dirt. You can also see behind that job trailer there is more dirt movers, and that's the developers' dirt movers making the roads for those other homes that are coming in there to harvest. So a lot of activity. This is from about a month ago, and then this is from like last week. So now you can see where we talked earlier about those piers being in, and you start to see the formwork of the grade beam starting to outline portions of the building. And here's one more shot, and you see the formwork starting to outline portions of the building there as well. So just a quick point to make. At this point on Curtis, we would have shown you pictures of this November 30th, almost December 1st, to put that into perspective, how much work got done on Curtis to get us in the building. We don't want to be putting grade beams in the ground in December. We want to be doing it right now. So we're well on track to be able to get this building open and prepare for it over the course of 4 or 5 or 6 weeks before students show up, not 4 or 5 or 6 hours like we did with Curtis. So, but yeah, we're moving real well on this job. Happy to have that progress going. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Tim, I would just like to personally thank you, Sarah, your team, your contractors. I don't know if the rest of the board knows how amazing what you accomplished in 9 months, but being in construction and engineer, that's amazing. You guys, I don't know if you slept at all over the last 9 months. You look pretty good.
Not much.
Yeah, I know
that's why I don't have a voice right now, so I apologize for my voice.
But again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's just amazing the work that you did. So thank you guys very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, have y'all finalized a location for the natatorium?
Yeah, the location will be directly across the street from this building at the old baseball field. So right next to the ag facility, but right across the street. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
Where's the baseball fields going?
When we did the artificial turf for all the baseball, softball fields, we eliminated the practice fields and the maintenance associated with those. I'm sure Joel could speak to that if you'd like for him to, but that was the model Eaton opened with, was only one field, a turf baseball and a turf softball. They run all their practices, everything on it. They don't have to worry about the mud and the keeping up of the natural turf. And so, again, to try to do everything we can to eliminate the maintenance side of those dollars, those fields are going away at both Byron Nelson for the addition that's happening there, and here the baseball field is going away from the auditorium, and the softball field will be going away, and in place of the softball field will be the field house that will support both the softball and baseball team. So that's where they're going.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Okay, District Accountability Ratings Report, Dr. Warren.
Board, just a week or so ago, the state released the new accountability ratings, and I just thought since it's fresh on everybody's mind, it would be great for Melissa to come and discuss those and show you our results. And so, Dr. DeSimone, please.
All right. Good evening. In 2017, the state legislature met to review House Bill 22, and they changed some pieces of the A through F rating system. So this year, districts are given an A through F rating. That was released on August 15th. I'll give you a spoiler alert. We got an A. Campuses are still on the MET standard and improvement required. All of our campuses met standard. Next year, in 2019, campuses will also be scored A through F. Additionally, all campuses and all districts move to a new domain system. And in this domain system, we have 3 domains. We have student achievement, school progress, and closing the gaps. The first domain, domain 1, is student achievement. And when we look at it from a district point of view, we see that student performance is graded at 40%, and that includes our STAR and EOC test. College and career and military ready graduates are also at 40%, and our graduation rate is weighed in at 20%. And when we did the math on these 3 different indexes, or pieces of our domains, we got a score of 90 for our student performance. We got a score of 92 for college, career, and military-ready graduates. And we got an 85 on our graduation rates. College, career, and military-ready graduates include students who scored at a certain level on AP, ACT, SAT test, RTSAI test. And career readiness includes our students who got a certification or followed a certain pathway and earned pathway credits in career and CTE. And the military ready graduates were students who self-reported that they were going into the military. These numbers are from the class of 2017. They're not our most recent graduates. And the same with graduation rates. Graduation rates go back to our 2017, and they did look at each student group whenever they calculated our score of 85. Domain 2 is our school progress measure, and that is broken into 2 pieces. Part A is our student growth measure, and Part B is relative performance. Student growth measure is going to look very similar to the old system with some changes. Relative performance is going to be a lot of fun to explain. School progress, Part A is the student growth, and just like in the past, it looks at year-over-year test scores in reading and mathematics. So our students who are 4th graders this year who took a 3rd grade reading or math test anywhere in the state of Texas would be eligible, would be part of this grouping of students to look at student growth. And so you can they've divided it up into an interesting point system. You get 1 point for certain things, 5 points for other, or 0.5 points for other things, and 0 points for not meeting. So let's see what that actually looks like. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this quickly. There's several different scenarios I'm going to walk you through. So let's look at the does not meet, does not meet. So in the previous year, we have some students who did not meet on their test scores. So they did not pass STAR test. And then this year, they also did not meet. However, we do have a group of students who hit a growth measure to show that there was some progress. And so we were awarded 1 point for each student who fell into that category. Additionally, we have some students who approaches this year did not meet last year, but did not meet did not exceed growth. They just barely met it. So we get a 0.5 for those students. And then if you look at our master's students, go all the way down here to the far corner, and if a student scored master's last year and master's this year, they don't even look at the growth measure. They automatically give us 1 point for that. We do have students who scored master's last year and meets this year, and we get 0 points in that case. Even though a lot of those students are students who are accelerated by 2 grade levels, the expectation is that they're supposed to grow the 2 grade level growth. So they're expected to basically double what we would expect a student to grow, and they're also expected to maintain that master's. And here's a fun one. So this is our school progress B measure, which is relative performance. And what we're looking at here is taking our domain 1 score and comparing it to economically disadvantaged students. So if you look on the far left, we've got our schools will be placed based on how well they did on that domain 1 score. So the higher they are on that up, that's the higher the domain 1 score. If we look at the economically disadvantaged along the bottom, the further to the right we go, that's the higher percentage of economically disadvantaged students. And what the state has done is they've created these charts where they plot on these graphs where each school falls. And they've put what we call a regression line in there, looked at where the midpoint is, and the midpoint will be a C score. Anything above the C will go to a B and an A, depending upon how far up you go. And anything below that C goes to a D or an F, depending upon how far below that midpoint we go. This year, we scored, in Northwest ISD scored 85 in academic growth and a 75 in relative performance. And how they look at that, we're only going to be held accountable for one of those measures, and it's going to be the higher of the two. So in this case, for Domain 2, School Progress Score, we scored 85 because our academic growth was the higher score. In Domain 3, what they're looking at are 14 different student groups. And these 14 different student groups are expected to meet targets in college and career military readiness, in graduation rates, in reading and math scores only, and then all test scores, and English language proficiency, but that's only for our English language learners. I'm going to pack that just a little bit more. So what ESSA has created is they've asked every state to set up certain targets and to make sure that we are closing gaps. And so our Texas plan set up these targets for these different groups. You either get the target or you don't get the target in that student group. They add those up, divided by the possible targets that you could have earned, and then come up with a score. And in this case, on those 4 different areas, our district scored 94. Breaking this down as far as how they come to an overall grade, it's going to be the best of student achievement or school progress, and that's going to be measured at 70%. and then closing the gaps is automatically 30%. So I'm going to walk you through the chart here that has our data right there. So domain 1 in our scale score, domain 1 student achievement, our scale score was 90. School progress part A was 85, school progress part B was 75, and closing the gaps was 94. If we go to the third column, it's asking us the better of school progress part A or B, and we're going to bring over the 85 because that was the highest. And then we're going to go to the fourth column where it says the better of student achievement or school progress. And 90 is higher than 85, so we're going to bring over that 90 for student achievement, multiply it by the weight of 70%, and we get a weighted point score of 63. Closing the gaps is an automatic, or we got our 94, we automatically multiply that by the 30% to get 28.2. The state likes whole numbers, so that 28.2 plus 63 is a 91.2. It rounds to a 91. And so the overall score for our district was an A. In addition to our A through F rating, we still have academic achievement distinction designations. TEA, when we specifically asked as a group about these, they say that districts and the public really like these, so they did not want to touch that, and neither did the legislatures. So if we look here, we've got elementary, middle school, and high school. Elementary has 6 different academic distinction designations they could earn. Middle school has 7, high school has 7. Attendance is there at the top because attendance pops up in ELA, math, science, and social studies. So I wanted to draw your attention to that, to point out that that's the one recurring measure that pops up in so many different places. The great news is that we as a district have doubled our academic distinction designations. Last year we had a total of 11. This year we have a total of 22. There's further breakdown if you want to look that over for our high school, middle school, and elementary schools. You can see elementary schools had a great growth there. How they compute our academic distinction designations is by quartiles. So each campus and each district has a unique grouping of 40 campuses. And they look at them from it's more than a 3D model, it's more like an 8D model. It places that campus in the center, and then we look at our economically disadvantaged population, numbers of students, how many English language learners, mobility. And so the idea is that campus is the center of its universe. They rank there are indicators within each academic distinction. The campuses are expected to get over half of those quartile ones to be considered, to be given that academic distinction. So in this case, this year, our campuses earned more quartile 1 placements than they've ever earned before, and it's by a significant amount. We went from 36 to 69. And if you look, you can see elementary schools have this year, in 2018, they could have had 17 different quartiles. And as a district, that meant 272 when you multiply out how many campuses versus how many quartiles we have. So the final thoughts, overall the district earned an A. NISD campuses earned 22 academic distinctions. NISD campuses moved from 36 quartile 1s to 69 placements in quartile 1s. So I'm ready for your questions. I'd love to tell you it was a straightforward system, but it's not.
Well, it's not a straightforward system. Board, I just want you to know how proud we are. That represents a lot of work by our classroom teachers, definitely by our kids, our classroom teachers, our principals, all of our, the whole team. And I'm just very pleased with this small part of how we look at ourselves, with the state system. But I'm very, very pleased. I had a very good academic year, and I'm just very proud of the efforts.
Any questions?
I have some questions. Hypothetically,
Okay.
if we had the same score in 2018 as we had in 2017, would we fall down like a C because we wouldn't make the same progress in some of the, and do we have the numbers internally for all of these calculations to determine what it might be next year or this year?
For 2019, we can look at our graduation rates and our college and career military ready numbers. Everything else, because it is so heavily weighted towards STAR tests, STAR and EOC tests, it would be impossible to tell exactly what our score would be for 2019. 2017, I have not done the math, but I have been curious about that. With the start of school, we haven't really dug that deeply into it. There are pieces of the of this accountability system that do not translate well to the new from the old accountability system to the new accountability system. So even as we are digging deep into the academic distinction designations, we're finding that when we even go down to look at some of the quartiles, they don't, they're close to each other, but they don't measure up completely together. And it's the same with the A through F system. There's some pieces that are close, but there are some pieces that aren't. Closing the gaps is closest to our old system safeguard system, the system safeguard systems. I hate saying that 3 times. but in domain 1 would look similar to what it looked like last year because it's all tests, all students. Domain 2 is, again, that relative performance. That would be next to impossible to tell because we would have to be able to pull all of the ECODIS numbers, all of the domain 1 scores, and plot them just like they did for, 1,200 school districts? So it doesn't translate, that piece doesn't translate well. So there's pieces that we could compare, and there's pieces that we just cannot.
Are the formulas, are they being tweaked at all? Are they going to maintain their inconsistent consistency?
They are promising us that this is what it's going to look like for the next 5 years. Now, we all know there's another legislature session happening next spring. So, and with it, that usually brings some modifications to any system. So the promise we've been told is that this is what it will look like for 5 years. I don't know if they can actually promise that with the legislature meeting.
Anything else? Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
All right, item 12, consider any item removed from the consent agenda, and there were none. Board President's Report. Team of 8 training is Monday, September 17th at 5:30. The TASA and TASB Convention, September 28th and 30th in Austin. And the Northwest Metroport Legislative Luncheon is Friday, September 14th at 11 a.m. at the Marriott Champion Parkway. And on behalf of the board, I just want to say thank you very much for making this school year start so wonderfully and all your hard work. And please pass that on to everyone that had a part in making today successful. Thank you.
Amen. Good job.
It's Dr. Warren's turn now. Superintendent's report.
Board, couldn't say anything better than what Judy just said about the first day of school efforts, and we're going to have a great week and great start of the roll of the school year. Board members, we do have our first football game this coming Friday. It's unbelievable that we're there, but Northwest High School will host Little Elm, correct, Joel? Start at 7 p.m. And what are we having for supper, Joel? Taco Fridays. Okay, so I'd love to see you there. Let's go.